far as the demo, are you talking about Defy the Tyrant?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I use YouTube Music, and it was actually up there. I was listening to it when I was walking my dogs late last night. So
I'll say
basically, your first EP with them was the Primal Chaos. What was that like?
that was cool because I had nothing to do with the writing or the recording of the demo. It was pretty much sort of like a hired second guitarist, and so that was kind of nice. Like I got to kind of chuck a few riffs in there, and yeah, it was nice because my old band had been leaning towards the metallic sort of side, but we were pretty much like a hardcore band. So it was nice to be able to play, proper metal riffs. And yeah, me and Ash gelled pretty well with the writing process. And I think it's like 5 songs. I think so. I think there's the
Yeah.
end song, the Primal Chaos, was kind of the intro riff was stolen from my previous band, which was quite nice. Thinking actually, I can get to use this.
Awesome. After that, you came out with Animus in 2016, which also, I mean, that got you the best new band is on, the Metal Hammer Golden Gods Awards. What was that whole era like?
That was pretty wild because I don't think any of us were really sort of expecting to get any traction from it. I mean, with the demo and the EP, we were kind of the mentalities like, yeah, we might get a chance to play some shows, get to hang out, and we were sort of just enjoying each other's company. And I think we were all just happy to be playing the kind of music that we wanted to. So when we recorded Animus, it was like, it was really aggressive. It was really fast. I mean, I feel like it's pretty much a grindcore album when you listen to it compared to sort of a lot of the stuff we've recorded now. But
Right.
yeah, it was to be nominated was one thing with the Metal Hammer Golden Gods, and then like asked to go along. I mean, it was crazy. I remember we were kind of they told us like I think a week before that we had won it. Just they want to make sure that you show up, because it's an event.
Right.
They want the people winning to accept the awards, and I just remember thinking this is just really crazy because I remember buying Metal Hammer when I was younger, or if I
Hmm.
didn't buy it, I'd steal it. I remember stealing the CDs from all of the sort of rock magazines at
Yeah.
WH Smith, sneaking them in your pocket and bolting out the doors. So, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, Metal Hammer, but yeah, that's what I did.
Hey, man, you
But
got to do
yeah,
what you got to do sometimes.
yeah, it was the way I checked out a lot of new bands. Metal Hammer, and we had Rock Sound magazine. There was Kerrang still, they're still around, and yeah, they're still putting out I'd say they're probably better now, really thinking about it. But yeah, back then it was the way to sort of check out new bands. You get your CD, and so yeah, we were at the Golden Gods Award, and I remember like Mike, our bass player, he played in my previous bands. We used to live together. We've known each other for over 15 years now, and I remember like we were just kind of looking at each other just in confusion because they'd be like Mastodon. We had to do this sort of like red carpet sort of media swarm sort of thing after we got the award, and there was that Chris Jericho who presented it. I'm not into wrestling, but apparently he's super famous, so that probably pretty wild. um, and then like Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath was kind of there, and we were wedged between Tony Iommi and the Mastodon dudes, and it was just like, what is going on? It was just
Yeah.
really, really strange. But yeah, it felt really yeah, kind of confusing, but also sort of reflecting back on it, it's pretty humbling. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty surreal, really.
It was just super weird, man. Like we never expected to do. I mean, we recorded Animus in like we pretty much hibernated in the studio. We locked ourselves away. I don't think any of us saw daylight for 2 weeks, only to come out for cigarettes and smokes. And yeah, to go from just sort of playing a few dumb riffs to sort of being stood next to Tony Iommi being interviewed was pretty weird.
Oh, man, I bet. What was it like meeting Jericho? I myself, I'm a wrestling fan, and of course, I'm familiar with Ozzy and everything. And he always just seemed like kind of an interesting guy.
Yeah, I remember him having a pretty intense energy presenting the awards and everything, and he had some sort of crazy jacket, I think, which like lit up his name on the back. But I
Oh,
didn't really
yeah.
speak to him apart from him just kind of giving the awards. So no, sad to say, I didn't really hang out or anything.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Busy night for everybody, I'm sure. A few years later, you came out with Samsara. How was it different than Animus?
I think the difference between Animus and Samsara was, I think that was kind of more the point where me and Ash were collaborating sort of more evenly on sort of the writing process. It was definitely we wanted to flex a bit more on sort of the riffing. So there's so many riffs, man. Like we were, I remember when we did Bloodstock, because recently we pretty much been writing for the new record, which I guess we'll talk about later. But I remember recently before we played Bloodstock, we had to relearn some of the Samsara songs that I'd forgotten over lockdown, and yeah, I just couldn't believe, like, did we put that many riffs in? It just almost seemed stupid, really. But yeah, I think we had a few tours under our belt. You know, we'd been around Europe. I think no, maybe we hadn't done the US at that point. Maybe not. No, I don't think we had. I think we just kind of were gelling more. We were used to sort of playing sort of on stage together, and yeah, it was a definite more diverse record than Animus, but it still definitely felt like a nice progression from it, if you know what I mean. Like there was still
Right.
the kind of Venom Prism grindy bits. It was like fast. It had the sort of chuggy, slowed down sections, the breakdowns, the rest is heavy vocals. But there was kind of a slight more progressive element to it. I think we had sort of a few more sort of drawn out sections, and musically, it felt like a good step up from Animus, definitely. Yeah, yeah. It's one of those records. Like I enjoy listening back to it, but it's kind of one of those things where I think every musician kind of listens back to their older stuff, and there's things you change about it. I'm kind of glad we kind of recorded it then and there and walked away from it, because otherwise I think that record was, yeah, that was painful. Because I remember writing it, would we'd be in between tours, and like you'd have like 2 weeks at home before we went back out on tour, and it was just incredibly patchy trying to get everything together, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like Ash would have a bunch of stuff, I'd have a bunch of stuff, and I remember going out. We took like a small interface on tour with us, and we were trying to kind of complete it whilst we were there. It was just tough, man. But we got there in the end.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a good payoff in my opinion. After Samsara, you got signed on to New Century Records. What was it like?
It was cool. So we were kind of on the lookout for a label. We've been talking to a few, and Mike Gitter from Century. He said he wanted to come along to our show in LA. We were, I think, during it was our second US tour, and he was just a really cool guy, super nice, and he just kind of got us really what our background was, because he came from the hardcore scene. He kind of, I mean, he's a bit older than us, but he was aware of all the bands, sort of the European hardcore bands and metal bands that we kind of grew up listening to, and yeah, he just had a, on the same page, sort of looking back at the hardcore scene and seeing how that sort of shaped what we were doing, had that energy, that vibe. I think he just got us. So it was, yeah, definitely cool to meet him for sure.
I get the impression with the kind of roster that New Century has, they obviously take care of their bands.
From what I can see, man, like I mean, we've only just started working, but yeah, I've heard nothing but good stuff about Century, and yeah, it's like I grew up listening to some of those metal bands that they signed, and yeah, feels pretty wild to be on that same label, man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.